Downtown Charlotte glows on a Saturday morning, the kind of day that smells like promise. Amara Lewis steps off the city bus holding a folder full of sketches and colour swatches. She's not rich, not flashy, but today she's walking into her own fairy tale. Her wedding is 8 weeks away. She's ready to finally buy her dream gown. But she doesn't know that before the day ends, she'll be standing in front of a mirror, humiliated, invisible and broken. And worse, it'll all happen in the same building her fiancé secretly owns. Because sometimes the world tries to test your worth right before it realizes who you really are. Amara pushes open the glass door of Maison du Lune, the kind of boutique that looks like heaven for the elite. White marble floors, gold chandeliers, and champagne glasses perched beside racks of silk. The smell hits her first, champagne and white roses. Then the silence. That kind of silence that makes you aware of yourself, the kind that makes you shrink. Maison du Lune. The kind of bridal boutique where dresses cost more than most people's cars, and everyone inside moves like they're part of a secret club. Amara Lewis walks in quietly, clutching her small purse. She's nervous, but in that soft, excited way brides are supposed to be. She's saved screenshots of the gowns she loves. She's been dreaming of this moment for years. But the moment she steps inside, the air shifts. The woman at the counter, Rachel Dean, looks up from her tablet, her smile too polite to be real. "Can I help you?" she says, tone clipped, almost sterile. Amara nods. "Yes, I called earlier. Amara Lewis, I have a fitting." Rachel blinks, glances at her again. "Ah, right, you're here alone?" Amara smiles faintly. "My fiancé's travelling, he couldn't make it." Rachel's lips twitch like she's holding back something. "Of course," she says. "We hear that a lot." She gestures to her assistant. "Elaine, show her to room 3. As Amara follows, whispers trail behind her. She feels them. The small, cutting kind of laughter that hides behind perfect teeth. Room 3 smells like expensive perfume and pride. The mirror stretches from floor to ceiling. Elaine, nervous but kind, starts bringing in gowns. They're not the ones Amara requested. Not even close. The dresses are outdated, off-white, and one has a small tear near the sleeve. "Oh, this one's a sample," Elaine says quickly, her voice unsure. "It's all we have in your size right now." Amara hesitates. She wants to speak up. She wants to say she emailed days ago, sent her measurements, and even saved her favourite designs from their catalogue. But something in the way Rachel's eyes follow her through the glass, that sharp, assessing stare, keeps her quiet. So she steps into the torn dress. The zipper sticks. The fabric pulls too tightly at her shoulders. Elaine looks uncomfortable. Rachel leans on the doorframe, arms folded, watching. "It's not quite the right fit," Amara says softly, staring at her reflection. Rachel's reply is instant. "Well, our gowns are designed for a certain silhouette. Maybe one of our simpler options would be more flattering." That word, flattering, lands like a slap. There's a small burst of laughter from the dressing area behind her. Another customer, pale-skinned and polished, walks by, whispering something to her friend. Amara catches only the last word, pretend. She freezes. Her reflection blurs. Rachel steps closer, voice sugar-coated. "Perhaps you'd like to look at something from our clearance rack. It's much more accessible." Accessible. Amara breathes in, steadying herself. Her fingers tremble as she removes the dress. Every thread feels like it's unravelling her dignity. When she finally steps out of the fitting room, Rachel's already chatting with another customer, cheerful, bright, like nothing just happened. Amara waits for someone to hand her back her bag, but no one does. Elaine finally meets her eyes and whispers, "I'm sorry." That's all. Outside, the wind feels colder than it should. She walks to the bus stop, clutching her phone, scrolling through the pictures she saved. The lace sleeves, the pearl details, the one gown that made her cry when she saw it online. But now, none of them look right anymore. She gets home to her small apartment, warm yellow light, half-finished sketches on her table. She's a designer herself, wedding invitations mostly. She's spent years drawing other people's dreams. She sits down, opens her phone and searches Maison du Lune on Instagram. Every post feels like a world she was told she didn't belong to. Then she deletes the tab. Just like that. Gone. She doesn't cry. Not immediately. She just sits still, quiet, thinking about how strange it is. How something as simple as fabric and lace can make you feel invisible. Her phone buzzes, a message from Ethan. "Just landed. Dinner tonight?" She types back, "Sure." Nothing else. Later, when she finally lets herself cry, it's not loud, it's quiet. The kind of crying you do when you're afraid your neighbours might hear. But something shifts inside her that night. Not anger, not yet. Just a quiet kind of resolve. Because deep down, Amara knows something the rest of that boutique doesn't. Her fiancé, Ethan Cole, isn't the man who flaunts money or posts pictures. He doesn't wear wealth on his sleeve. But the entire building Maison du Loon sits in, every chandelier, every marble floor, belongs to him. And soon, the same people who laughed behind her back are going to learn what grace looks like when it walks in, wearing power. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button. Because what's coming next proves why silence is the most dangerous kind of revenge. Ethan Cole, Amara's fiancé, never liked noise. Not from people, not from headlines, not from the world. He'd built an empire by staying quiet, the kind of quiet that made people underestimate him until they realized the building they worked in, the ground beneath their feet, all belonged to him. When his jet touched down in Charlotte that evening, he was expecting a warm dinner and laughter. But Amara's silence felt heavier than the night air. At first he thought she was tired. Then he saw the way her eyes wouldn't meet his, the way she stirred her drink without sipping. Something was wrong. He set his fork down. "Talk to me," he said softly. Amara hesitated, then exhaled. "It's nothing, really. Just—" She stopped. "It's silly." "Amara," Ethan said, "if it bothers you, it's not silly." That was all it took. The story spilled out, the whispers, the stares, the torn dress. The word accessible that still echoed in her head. She tried to downplay it, laugh at the end like it didn't hurt. But Ethan saw through it. He always did. He didn't interrupt, didn't even blink. He just listened. And when she finished, he leaned back and said one thing, calm, quiet, almost too measured. "What was the name of the boutique?" Amara looked up, caught off guard by the tone. "Why?" "Just curious," he said, picking up his glass. "What was it called?" She hesitated. "Maison du Loon." He nodded once, no emotion, no reaction. Then he stood. "You'll feel better soon," he said, kissing her forehead. "I promise." She didn't think much of it, but the next morning Charlotte began to shift, one silent decision at a time. When a man like Ethan Cole gets quiet, it's never peace. It's the calm before something changes forever. By sunrise, his office was already awake. Emails stacked, calls scheduled, assistants moving faster than usual. Ethan walked in without a word, straight to his desk overlooking the city skyline. His assistant, Morgan, followed close behind. "Morning, sir. I sent the New York reports." "Forget New York," he said. "Pull every file on the tenants in the 7th and 8th districts." Morgan froze. "That's a lot of properties." "Then you'd better start now." Within an hour, a list appeared on his desk, more than 40 businesses leasing from Cole Industries. Ethan flipped through casually like a man reading weather updates. Then he stopped. Maison du Loon. Lease renewal, 3 weeks. He smiled for the first time that morning. It wasn't a grin. It was that quiet, unreadable smile people give when they've already decided how a story ends. He called legal next. "I want an audit. Every financial record, every complaint, every review tied to this boutique." Quietly. No raised voice, no revenge speech, just order, efficiency. Ethan wasn't a man who shouted when he was angry. He built storms in silence. That same week, Rachel Dean posted a photo online. Her caption read, "We take pride in serving brides who reflect the Maison du Loon image. Class, grace and authenticity." It went viral in her small circle. A few people clapped. A few rolled their eyes. Rachel didn't care. She believed she was untouchable. Meanwhile, in Ethan's world, her words became her undoing. The audit revealed unpaid invoices, expired safety permits, and a few misplaced tax documents that Rachel never imagined anyone important would look at. Ethan read it all in silence, one line at a time. When he was done, he said quietly, "Let's not pull the trigger yet." "Sir?" his assistant asked. "Not yet," he repeated. "Some lessons teach themselves. Sometimes revenge doesn't need fire, just time, and the right hands waiting at the switch." That weekend, Amara woke up to find Ethan making breakfast. Pancakes slightly burnt, coffee too strong, his usual Saturday attempt. She smiled. "You're terrible at this," he shrugged. "I'm good at other things." She didn't notice the envelope on the counter, the one stamped with lease agreement, Maison du Loon. Ethan had already signed it. He'd just left the final decision for later. "Do you ever think," Amara said softly, that some people will never see you for who you are, only what they think you should be. He looked at her for a long time before answering, all the time, but I stopped needing them to see me. Something in that answer stayed with her, because that was Ethan's way, never loud, never theatrical, just quietly certain. Days passed. The boutique continued its routine, unaware that its future was already shifting beneath it. Rachel bragged to a supplier one afternoon, people like her always come in pretending. You can spot them a mile away. Elaine heard it. She didn't respond this time. She just walked out quietly, thinking of Amara, the girl who'd said nothing and still carried herself with more grace than anyone else in that building. That night, Ethan sat alone in his office, city lights flickering on the glass behind him. He opened his laptop, pulled up the property records again. One click, one decision. Lease renewal, pending. He didn't sign. He waited. He wanted Amara to walk back in there not as someone proving her worth, but as someone who already knew it. And when she did, he wanted every person in that room to realize exactly who they had dismissed. If you're still here, hit that subscribe button, because what comes next isn't payback. It's power dressed in silence. The next morning, he sent Amara a simple text. You free next Thursday? There's somewhere I want you to visit again. She stared at her phone, confused. Where? She replied. Ethan's response came seconds later. Maison du Lune. Her stomach turned. Why? Because I think it's time they see what real grace looks like. She walked in once as a customer they laughed at. The next time she'd walk in, the world would stand still. 2 weeks later, the boutique looks different, brighter, busier, louder. Reporters stand outside Maison du Lune, snapping photos for a feature on Charlotte's most exclusive bridal experience. Inside, the air smells of perfume, money and pretense. The glass doors open, and this time, Amara Lewis doesn't walk in alone. She steps in with quiet grace, dressed in a tailored cream suit that fits like confidence. Behind her, an event planner carries fabric swatches and an iPad. 2 assistants follow, whispering about timelines and floral palettes. Heads turn. The same customers who once whispered, "Can she afford anything here?" now lower their eyes, sensing something has changed, though they can't quite tell what. At the front desk, Rachel Dean freezes mid-sentence. The champagne glass in her hand trembles slightly. She remembers that face, the one she brushed off, mocked, humiliated. Rachel recovers fast, painting on her customer service smile. "Oh, you're back," she says, her voice airy, practiced. What a pleasant surprise. Amara meets her eyes, calm, unreadable. "Yes," she says, setting down her purse. "I have a fitting today." Have you ever noticed how silence can feel louder than words? Right now, Rachel hears every echo of what she once said, replaying in her head, louder with every breath. Rachel forces a chuckle, trying to find her footing. "Of course. Let's get you started. We have so many options you might like." She gestures for Elaine, her assistant, to bring out new gowns. Elaine avoids eye contact, she remembers too. That torn dress, that laughter, that quiet woman who never fought back. And now here she is, walking like she owns the floor. Rachel leads Amara toward the main fitting area, chattering nervously. "We've recently upgraded our collection," she says. "You'll find our service a bit more elevated now." Amara smiles softly. I can tell. She runs her hand across the fabric of a nearby gown, silk, Italian, expensive. Rachel watches closely, her mind spinning. Who is this woman really? She looks too polished, too composed. Maybe she married rich already? Maybe she's just here to show off? But Rachel's about to learn that arrogance has a funny way of putting people on a stage just before the curtain drops. As Amara slips into the first gown, Elaine lingers near the curtains. She hesitates, then whispers, I'm sorry about last time." Amara looks at her through the mirror. "You didn't laugh," she says gently. "That was enough." Elaine nods, relief flooding her face. In that small exchange, the tension breaks for just a moment. Then the door opens. The room quiets instantly. Ethan Cole steps in, tall, composed, wearing a navy suit that speaks more than his words ever will. His presence shifts the entire room's gravity. Staff members straighten, customers pretend not to stare. Rachel turns, confused. "Oh, Mr. Cole, we didn't have you on the guest list today." He smiles faintly. "That's because I'm not here as a guest." He crosses the room with quiet certainty, his eyes finding Amara in the mirror. She turns slightly, her reflection and his aligning, power and grace side by side. Ethan places a hand on her shoulder, his voice low and clear. "This is my fiancée," he says. "I believe you've met her before." The words hang in the air like thunder after lightning. Rachel's face drains. Elaine's clipboard nearly slips from her hand. No one breathes. Ethan continues, unhurried. "Funny thing," he says, glancing around the boutique. "This shop operates in one of my company's properties. We're actually reviewing our tenant list this quarter." That's the thing about quiet people. You never know who's watching or what power they're holding behind silence. Rachel's lips part, but no words come. She stammers something about a misunderstanding, about miscommunication and standard procedures. Ethan doesn't respond. He simply looks at her, not with anger, but with something colder. Disappointment. Amara watches it all quietly. No gloating, no smirk, just peace. The kind that comes from seeing truth unfold by itself. "Rachel," Ethan finally says, "you treated my fiancée like she didn't belong here, and that's fine. Everyone reveals who they are when they think no one's watching." He turns to leave, but pauses by the doorway. "For what it's worth," he adds, "this store could have been part of something much bigger. It still can, just not with the same management." Rachel feels her knees weaken. The words hit like a verdict. In one moment, everything she thought she owned, her status, her control, her image, disappears right in front of the same mirror she once used to humiliate another woman. Amara turns toward Rachel, her tone calm but firm. "I came back for my fitting," she says, "and I got it, thank you." She walks out hand in hand with Ethan, cameras flashing as they exit. Outside, reporters murmur. Someone recognizes Ethan Cole, the reclusive billionaire. The whispers spread like wildfire. "That's his bride, the one who walked into Maison du Loon today?" Rachel stands frozen in the middle of her own store, surrounded by silence that now feels like judgment. Inside the mirror, she catches her reflection, and for the first time she looks small. Not because of anyone's words, but because truth has a way of shrinking lies down to size. They say revenge is sweet, but grace is silent. It doesn't need to shout. It just walks out the same door it was once pushed through, taller than before. Amara and Ethan reach the car. He opens the door for her, and before stepping in she looks back at the building. The same glass, the same gold lettering, but now it feels different. "Do you feel better?" he asks softly. Amara smiles. "No," she says. "I feel free." If you're still watching this story, hit that subscribe button, because stories like this aren't just fiction, they're reflections of what happens when dignity finally meets power. The car drives off, leaving the boutique behind, and for Rachel, the reality of her downfall is only just beginning. Because sometimes life doesn't give you a second chance to be kind. It just sends back the person you underestimated, dressed in grace, backed by power, and no longer asking for a seat at your table. Morning breaks over Lake Norman, the water catching sunlight like scattered diamonds. A soft breeze drifts through rows of white chairs lined across a private lawn. It's quiet, the kind of quiet that feels sacred, not empty. And in the middle of it all, Amara Lewis stands by the window, staring at her reflection one last time before walking down the aisle. Her dress isn't loud. It's not covered in sequins or pearls. It's simple. Elegant ivory silk with hand-stitched embroidery from a small black-owned studio in Atlanta. The tag inside bears the name of a young designer who once wrote her, "Thank you for believing in us." Amara smiles. That's all I ever wanted, to feel seen. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't destruction, it's creation. Because while others were busy tearing her down, she was busy building something they'd never understand. Outside, guests begin to arrive. Soft chatter, the sound of heels on grass, the hum of violin strings. Among them are reporters, quietly snapping photos from a respectful distance. They've all read the whispers. The woman humiliated at Maison du Loon marries billionaire real estate mogul Ethan Cole. But none of them know the whole story. Ethan walks in, adjusting his cufflinks, looking at her through the mirror. "You look like peace," he says softly. She turns to him. "And you look like the calm that taught me how to find it." He chuckles, kisses her forehead. "Ready?" She nods, and together they walk toward the door. The same woman who once walked out of a store in tears is now walking toward her forever, in a dress stitched by hands that understand struggle, not status. The ceremony begins. Under a canopy of gold lights, friends and family rise as Amara walks down the aisle. The crowd is quiet, but not in awe, in reverence. Every step she takes feels like a reclamation of something stolen and now returned. Ethan's eyes never leave her. When they reach the altar, the pastor speaks softly about grace, patience, and love that doesn't need to prove itself. Then vows are exchanged. No grand speeches, just words that sound like home. Amara's voice trembles slightly. You saw me when the world looked away, and that made all the difference. Because love, real love, doesn't rescue you. It reminds you that you were never broken in the first place. The audience applauds, gentle but full. Cameras flash, not for spectacle, but for witness. After the ceremony, guests gather under white canopies for the reception. There's laughter, music, and stories told over champagne. But away from the noise, inside a small private tent, Amara checks her phone. A new article has just gone live. Luxury boutique Maison du Loon under new ownership, rebranded as Amara & Co. The headline makes her still. Not out of revenge, but out of closure. Life has a way of circling back. Not to repeat your pain, but to hand you the pen and say, now you write the ending. Ethan walks up behind her, reading over her shoulder. She deserves to be forgotten, he says. Amara shakes her head gently. No, I don't want her forgotten. I want what happened remembered, so no one else has to live through it. Later that week, the story grows. Photos of the boutique's rebranding spread online. The gold lettering of Maison du Loon was replaced with simple black script, Amara & Co. The slogan beneath reads, every bride deserves a mirror that tells the truth. Inside, the decor has changed. The ivory walls now feature portraits of diverse brides, full-figured, dark-skinned, hijabi tattooed. Every woman looks radiant in her own way. Rachel Dean is gone, replaced quietly, respectfully, with new management. But Elaine Porter, the assistant who once whispered an apology, now runs the floor. That's what grace does. It doesn't erase people, it raises them. Even the ones who almost lost their way. At the launch event, Amara stands before a small audience, journalists, designers, and local business owners. She steps up to the microphone, calm and sure. Some places sell beauty by measuring who deserves it, she begins. I just wanted to build a place that remembers grace isn't something you can price. The room goes still. Even the cameras stop clicking. She looks toward Elaine in the front row, smiling. We're not just selling gowns, we're giving women a space to be seen, to be celebrated, and to feel beautiful without permission. If you're watching this story and you believe in people turning pain into purpose, subscribe right now, because these are the stories that remind us what resilience really looks like. Applause fills the room, not loud, but lasting. After the event, Amara returns to the fitting area, the same kind of mirror that once broke her. She stands there for a long time, tracing her reflection with her eyes. But this time she sees everything, the fear, the faith, the fight, all of it, finally making sense. Ethan joins her, wrapping an arm around her waist. So, he says, smiling, what's next for Amara & Co.? She laughs softly. Maybe a line for women who said no before they found their yes, or a scholarship for young black designers. He nods. That sounds like you. Because healing doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means turning it into something that feeds the future. As Amara steps outside, a young girl walking by stops to stare at her. Are you the lady who owns this place? The girl asks shyly. Amara smiles. Yes, I am. The girl beams. I want to wear one of your dresses when I get married. Amara kneels down. And you will, but promise me one thing. Don't let anyone tell you you're not enough before you do. The girl nods, clutching her mother's hand. Sometimes the real victory isn't the headline or the ownership. It's the moment a stranger looks at you and sees what's possible for them. As the sun sets over the boutique, Amara stands outside with Ethan, watching people pass by. The building glows golden behind them, a symbol not of revenge, but rebirth. And in that quiet, she whispers, almost to herself, Grace doesn't shout. It just walks back into the room that once rejected it and owns it with peace. Because when grace meets power, revenge doesn't roar. It rebuilds. And that's the story they'll never forget.